Our friend Finn has watched 2020's Dolittle 70 times since its release on January 17th of 2020. I'm Frank, and this is Viewlittle.
Nobody told me there'd be a dragon!
And you may call me Lady Rose. That's just a quote to get us started.
We just watched Dolittle. It was Finn's 70th viewing. It was my third, and it was our second on this journey that we're undertaking to watch it once a week. I think we should start by addressing the dragon in the room, which is that today is also January 17th, which is the 3-year anniversary of Dolittle's release.
3 years. It does feel like it hasn't been that long because we lost a good 3 years there, but
We certainly did. And your initial thoughts after your second viewing of the year?
I'll be honest, I kind of dozed off there a little bit. I think I fell asleep for right after Barry gets kicked in the balls. That's what, right. That's typically the sleepy part. And then Stubbins escapes the city, and then I wake up when he gets caught. That's like my routine typically. There's like 2 minutes. I've rewatched that so many times. It's frustrating. Yeah, but honestly, I was really sleepy going into this, and as soon as that part happened, I was really awake for the last bit, which was kind of odd. And I did like the last bit this time.
Was there anything that stood out to you on this viewing?
Gosh, I think I'm over Robert Downey Jr. That didn't really stand out to me. Oh, Stubbins is kind of worse than I remember. Maybe it was because we're making fun of him, but his animal impersonations are not very good. There's the amazing scene where
I love his impersonations.
Are like going over the sounds, and he's like, well, when bees go buzz 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 buzz. Like, well, I could do that. Like, they should have cast me, honestly.
Oh, I haven't brought this up to you yet, but I'm going to now. I think that at the end of the year, we should record and redub a cover of the Dolittle movie. That's a weird way to say it, but I think that we should revoice everyone.
Okay, that's good.
And I also think that we should make another cut of Dolittle where we take out all of the English and we make it exclusively animal sounds, because I think that would be better.
Oh, another thing, speaking of Stubbins, is he's just kind of dumb, too. There's a lot of things that stood out to me about how dumb everyone is in this movie. Today, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm tired and just not having it. But, like, him, like, roar! You know, that means worship.
Is he saying pickles? What's he saying pickles for? Oh, worship.
Also, like, so all the animals are hyper intelligent, like, animals, because they can fluently speak English, from what we can tell.
Right, they all understand all English. Yeah.
So why didn't he just say worship?
He would have been able to speak with. Well, I mean, I guess it seems like every animal can speak among themselves really well. So all of them do know bear. So if he shouts in bear, it's not a huge deal to the rest of the ship, I guess.
Yeah, but imagine, like, you're trying to warn something of a dire situation. You're like, I'm going to use the language I just learned.
I've been on this boat for 7 days. I'm going to start shouting in bear.
Yeah, Stubbins is a lingual genius. He picks up all these languages in 17 days.
That was one thing that I noticed on this viewing, is that the movie came out on the 17th of January, and a solar eclipse appears in the movie on the 17th of the month. So they're really focused on that 17th moment. I think that there's some immersion that they're allowing the people who got tickets to opening day. They were really hoping for that immersion.
Yeah, that's like my slogan, is that coincidences just don't exist. Everything's on purpose. Yeah.
Yep, of course. Especially with numbers, we all know. One thing that we were really talking about right after the movie ended, and throughout the course of the movie as Kevin is updating his log, we were talking about the amount of time that this voyage takes and how they're able to do so much and get so far in such a short period of time, because they only have 17 days for this entire adventure at the most.
Yeah, at the most.
It might be less than.
Because, yeah, Dolittle says a solar eclipse will occur on the 17th of this month, and we don't know what day they're starting at. But in fairness, they do harness the speed of whales.
Right, which we all know are very fast.
Yes. They are faster than the metal warship.
Right. a metal warship in the Victorian era, which would be roughly 1837 to 1845-ish, is probably about when this movie takes place.
Yeah.
Because they're referencing her as a young queen, and her reign started in 1837. So give or take somewhere around the 1840 mark, 1837 to 1845, that's when this movie is taking place.
Also, like, I feel like they don't use sails in the movie. Like, I don't know. I guess I never noticed the sails down on either boat.
Well,
especially the boat Rizzoli gives them, because like all the sails are tattered and
right,
just
there's
wouldn't
no
work.
sails left in those. Yeah, so the sails that do work are the ones that save Stubbins' life when he jumps off the bridge.
Right, because that's what they're for.
Exactly, they are.
So what else did you bring for? I know you have like 6 papers there.
Yes. So since it is the birthday today of the 3rd year anniversary birthday, there is an asterisk there with that because the release date was changed multiple times. So January 17th of 2020, while it was the final release date and it's the most important one for birthday considerations, it is interesting to note that originally it was supposed to come out in May of 2019, which then got pushed to April of 2019 until it was finally moved 9 months into the future of January of 2020. And there's different speculation about why these changes happened. With the last move in particular, the April to January of 2020 push, that's when the reshoots took place. There were 3 weeks of reshoots in that 9-month span. And there were also new directors that were brought in to help piece a movie together. So a test screening didn't go too well. Jonathan Liebsman of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Chris McKay of the Lego Batman movie. And notably, those are directors who have done work in CG before, whereas Stephen Gaghan has not had a lot of CG work. There's some speculation that that's part of why the movie was not in a great place and it needed help.
Yeah, he's also, like, I know he didn't direct Traffic, he wrote it. And
Right.
he wrote and directed Syriana.
Yeah.
And I know he's more known as a writer than as a director.
Which, you start to question when you're looking at this one. It feels a little suspect.
Yeah, I mean,
Everyone can lay a stinker.
in fairness, if you go on, you're going to talk about the script, right?
Yes, I am going to talk about the
Okay.
script. In that 9 months period when they pushed the movie back, they also commissioned some script rewrites, and they brought in Seth Rogen, and they brought in Brendan O'Brien, and they were trying to get all hands on deck to try to make this movie funnier. There's some speculation about where different parts of the movie came from. So in an article on The Hollywood Reporter by Boris Kitt, he suggests that the wild card among these rewrites was Downey himself, and that he was the one who brought about the dragon colonoscopy enema moment at the last minute.
He's been thinking about that. He was just waiting to bring it up. Because, like, no one just comes up with that. Because it's not really funny and it's not really like a just normal thought. I've never thought, it would be a good climax to the movie in enema.
This rewatch was the first time that I really focused on that scene with the idea of the depressed dragon in mind, and also the colonoscopy and obstructed bowels in mind.
Yeah.
And the double speak that's going on over the course of the exchange with Dolittle it's actually kind of funny.
It is really funny, but the colon thing just completely undercuts it because
It does.
you're right. The symptoms are the same as a pain that it comes from inside.
Something about every time you make a movement,
Yeah.
the pain continues. And it's sort of like it ruins everything that Doolittle's been working towards, which is overcoming this grief about Lily being dead.
I think what would be really funny is then after they do that, he's like, "Oh, that's what's wrong with me too."
My obstructed bowels. Dab, please give me a piece of celery.
I realize that
Give me a leak.
Me as well. I have not pooped in days. I fully understand your pain.
No. Oh no.
That would be a great scene. A supercut of them like both having distractions at the same time. That's just such a wild thing to suggest. But also, like, I love how they bring in noted family comedian Seth Rogen
to help jazz things up.
Yeah, because he's not known for raunchy comedies. He's known for his lighthearted, observational family humor.
I'm going to read a quote from the Wall Street Journal article by R.T. Watson here. It says, "The studio's decision to tinker with a nearly finished film delayed its release by 9 months as it commissioned script rewrites and hired 2 new directors to help with about 3 weeks of additional photography, according to people familiar with the production. The goal of these measures, these people said, was to craft a sillier movie more likely to appeal to younger moviegoers and overseas audiences."
And like, I think they were right. Like, we've talked about the Rotten Tomato audience score and like the IMDb. Like, I think it was successful in that. So
was it though?
Well, we don't know what the original movie was, but I feel like among kids it seemed to be well received. I don't...
Stephen Gaghan has 2 kids, and this is the movie he comes up with. I wonder how much of the awful jokes are on him and how much are on the rewrites.
I mean, if I were him, I would still probably prefer my kids to watch Dolittle than Traffic. Because it's a much better movie, of course. Everything just goes back to the dragon, because like, I don't think that scene's fun for anyone. Because like, kids don't know what's going on, and I don't think it's very funny after the fart.
I am glad that they decided to... Well, I don't know if glad's the right word, because it would have been pretty funny if they hadn't. But there was an article that suggested instead of pulling out bagpipes, he was going to pull out a massive dragon turd.
That would have been so good. John Cena.
Bagpipes were the safer one, for sure.
John Cena in the background. Ooh, stinky. Respect.
Whoa, nice one, Doc. Speaking on the subject of rewrites and reshoots, is there anything that stands out to you as something that, this is definitely this is redone. This feels like a reshoot.
You were bringing up earlier there's a lot of connection to the Lego movie. A lot of like cameos, uncredited, like the rabbit, uncredited cameo.
Will Arnett, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have McKay coming in and directing, and he probably injected some of those pieces.
Yeah. And then like Craig Robinson's whole character could just be taken out of the movie.
The April 2019 release date had a different poster and different list of cast of characters. Craig Robinson was listed as Fleming a mouse on that poster, and it was a lot more of a steampunky sort of vibe to it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that poster.
And when the release date got moved to January of 2020, that's when that poster got dumped and all of the new stuff came in, where the new tagline was, "He's just not a people person." And it was, him featured with all the different animals.
That's really funny. That's a good tagline. That's a good tagline. But yeah, Craig Robinson, if you look at any scene with him in it, you could just take him out of the scene, except when the scene he gets shot. That's the only time he fits.
I suspect that that's part of the reshoots.
Oh, it has to be. Because he also offers a sort of narrative through line. He has like a voiceover section.
Which is why, to complete the through line, I really wish that it would have been him delivering the Eden fruit to Stubbins at the end instead of Mimi.
He's not a monarchist. That's what I get from the squirrel. He's anti-queen.
He doesn't care if the queen is saved.
He refused that job, yeah.
Well, it seems like most of them don't. Well, I shouldn't say most of them. It seems like Dr. Dolittle doesn't necessarily care if the queen gets saved either. The only reason he's doing it is to protect his property.
There's like a lot of weird like romantic glances
between him and the queen.
Yeah, at the end.
I was
just between the queen, where she's like,
Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah, it's very bizarre, especially where at the beginning he's like, I don't care if the queen dies. I think that's a quote.
It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah, because the only reason he helps is because if she dies, they lose the deed to the treasury, which never made sense to me, but I don't know Victorian laws, so
we'll have to get a legal expert to come on and talk to us about the legality that such a contract might dream up.
Yeah, we do know a couple lawyers. Was there any other things that you like saw that are clearly reshoots? Oh, the whole of Monteverdi is like super chopped up.
It is super chopped up. I'm not sure that there were too many reshoots done, except for like animal banter stuff.
Yeah.
I do think that because
I got one. The last scene when he's doing a speech, but then he doesn't actually do one. I think that bit, like where they're all getting excited for a speech, I think that part was
an add-in.
Because it undercuts it and then it is instantly goes into him like talking about grief.
Right.
And I think that's like one of the things that's bad about it is that they undercut all the interesting like grief and depression things with humor. There's a good scene where Dolittle is finally discussing like the famed explorer Lily. He doesn't say that they're his wife, but then the monkeys are sipping on coconuts.
Yeah.
And it really makes the scene better because it takes all the emotion out.
Because you don't have to pay attention anymore.
Yeah. It's such a good
Everyone
joke.
was getting bored out of their minds listening to this. So it's much better to have monkeys sipping on coconuts.
Yeah, I looked behind me. I thought it was someone in the theater.
Right.
Crinkling their tinfoil. That's one thing I would do to make that scene better. Instead, just have them eating hot dogs and popcorn. Sort of a...
That is something that I could see in a Universal movie. Speaking on Doolittle's birthday, the 17th being the theatrical release, 3-year anniversary, do you remember back to when you first saw the trailer for Dolittle?
I do. I don't know, because it played in theaters in front of every single movie for like, it felt like decades, right? Like that one and the Trolls
World Tour.
Yeah.
Trolls World Tour.
It's like every single movie you would see would have Dolittle and that one. I do remember the first time I saw it because the first trailer without the dragon is quite good, I think. It does a good like slow down cover of
I think that the slow down covers are such a hammy trailer thing to do, but
and then they like match up the Canon shots with like it has like a sense of adventure about
it does have a sense of adventure. They do a really nice job in the trailer of taking every moment of action in the movie and fitting it in, because all of them are there. Every time a door gets broken down, every time an animal does something interesting with like a jump move or some cool bit of action, it's all in there. It's all in the trailer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a good trailer, but it's better than the movie.
It is better than the movie. Even with Robert Downey Jr.'s accent still present. That is.
And then probably like 2 months later, they changed the trailer.
They added the dragon.
And they also do like a thing trailers do these days where they do like a short preview of the trailer before the trailer.
Just to make sure that they get your attention at the start.
Yeah, it's like, this is a scene you will see in the trailer of the movie you will see. And then it's of the dragon, which is a weird spoiler, because I don't think the dragon needs any place. And I think it would have been...
I feel like knowing there's a dragon sort of takes away the whole purpose of having a dragon.
Yeah, and like nobody told me
the wonder
there.
Of the nobody told me there'd be a dragon. Nobody told me there'd be a dragon.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go on.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Yeah, it takes away the wonder of it.
It does. It takes away the surprise and the joy of discovery of, oh, wow, a dragon. No way. Instead, there's a dragon in this movie. Don't you want to come see it? Not enough of you were excited about our last trailer. You need to come see our movie because there's a dragon.
I think what would have been a better reveal is it's just a clip of him at the end saying like severe infection of colon, just referencing that they're just about to help with a constipation, and you don't see any dragon. There's no context. That's just the end of the trailer. That would make me very intrigued. Like what is this reference?
Wow.
And they could do like the fun thing trailers do and like cut in another person immediately after.
Make it seem like it was a different person. It was the queen. The queen.
You may call me Lady Rose.
The queen who's on her deathbed is the one who has a severe infection of the colon.
That would be See, that would bring it all around. Is
And then he
they
could
give
use
him
the national symbol of Wales, the leek, to save the Queen of England.
They give her the Eden fruit. It works, but she's like, "Oh my god, I still feel sick." And then they're like, "Oh, we just did one of these. We can get you in." I really think they needed to add more fart jokes to the movie. They were lacking.
I think that in those reshoots where they came in and they pumped this movie full of fart jokes, they really should have doubled down. They should have kept going. They didn't add enough.
The original director, yeah, he was probably telling them, it's like, you should really just add in more, like Traffic and Seriata. They're well known for their fart jokes.
I do wonder. I looked on his social media just out of curiosity, and like in his Twitter bio, he lists Traffic, Syriana, Gold. Does not list Dolittle. So I feel for him a little bit. I wonder if his Dolittle dream was destroyed by the studio.
I mean, like you've mentioned, he hasn't really done any CG work, so there's a good chance that the studio was right. And it's hard to say that with the movie like being as bad as it is, but like sometimes the studio does know best, and maybe the original project was equally bad.
There was a series of Reddit comments that came out at the time of the announce of the movie being pushed back. There's a series of Reddit comments made by someone that said that they worked in previs for the movie, and that Stephen Gaghan had no idea what he was doing, and that everything was a mess, and that he was an impossible director to work with on the CG stuff. And you have to take it with a grain of salt because it's a series of Reddit comments. You don't know like whether or not they're actually factual or not, especially because they listed characters as being gooses instead of ducks and things like that. You have to wonder, someone in previous surely knows that it should be a duck and not a goose. But it did seem to be a troubled production from jump.
I mean, to sort of relate this to modern time, Francis Ford Coppola is currently trying to make Megalopolis, and it just keeps getting delayed and pushed back, and it's the first movie he's done with like heavy CG in it, and it's been filming for like 2 years or 3 years. I
think the moral of the story is, if you're a director out there and you're going to make a super CG movie, get someone who knows CG to help you out, or do some crazy storyboards at the start. Know what you're doing.
And don't fire them. I think that's the real thing, is do not replace the people you're working with at the start, because like they know more than you probably, so maybe you should just stick with them, even if their vision isn't exact, because what's in your head isn't always going to come out exactly as you picture it, because there have been a lot of examples of that as late, where it's just clear that not every director knows how to do a big CG movie.
Yeah, not every director can figure out all the blocking and everything, evidently.
I think one thing that helps in having a heavy CG movie is adding as many digital snap zooms as you can.
Absolutely.
They make every scene better.
I think that is an absolutely huge benefit. You should throw in as many of them as you can find. Anytime you have a space where you can throw in a digital zoom, get it in there.
If you have a boy that's sort of clipping into the giraffe, snap zoom in on that.
Definitely blow that up as fast as you can. Digital snap zoom on him moving, track him running along the cliff edge. Really good.
I wonder if that was like some pettiness. It's like, look how bad that looks. Snap zoom.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, animators. I'm really sorry.
CG's not good. Snap zoom.
Well, maybe it's to hide it. I don't know. This looks like nonsense. What can we do? Digital zoom, quick.
We could be wrong. It could have been an actual zoom.
So we should read off the Universal Pictures official synopsis of Dolittle here. So this is from universalpictures.com/movies/Dolittle. And it goes like this. Robert Downey Jr. electrifies one of literature's most enduring characters. And that's literature's most enduring characters being a character that's 100 years old. That's literature's most enduring character.
Yeah, right.
In a vivid reimagining of the classic tale of the man who could talk to animals, Dolittle. After losing his wife, is it Kasia? Kasia? Kasia?
I have no idea who.
Smutniak? Kasia Smutniak? Kasia Smutniak?
I don't
Apologies to Cassia.
I only
Acacia.
know what she looks like.
If you'd like to come on and clear that up for us, we'd love to talk to you. 7 years earlier, the eccentric Dr. John Dolittle, Downey, famed doctor and veterinarian of Queen Victoria's England, hermits himself away behind the high walls of Dolittle Manor with only his menagerie of exotic animals for company. When the young queen, Jessie Buckley, Wild Rose, falls gravely ill, a reluctant Dolittle is forced to set sail on an epic adventure to a mythical island in search of a cure, regaining his wit and courage as he crosses old adversaries and discovers wondrous creatures. Which, I mean, I don't know about wondrous creatures, plural.
No,
anyway.
he did discover a squirrel at the beginning of the movie. So if you add the squirrel and the dragon, that's two
That's
creatures.
two wondrous creatures,
Yeah.
for sure. The doctor is joined on his quest by a young self-appointed apprentice, Dunkirk's Harry Collett, and a raucous coterie of animal friends, including an anxious gorilla, Oscar winner Rami Malek, an enthusiastic but bird-brained duck, Oscar winner Octavia Spencer, a bickering duo of a cynical ostrich, the Big Six Kumail Nanjiani, and an upbeat polar bear, John Cena, Bumblebee, and a headstrong parrot, Oscar winner Emma Thompson, who serves as Doolittle's most trusted advisor.
Yeah, that was rough. The Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, like, were they going for a musical at any point? Or is that just, like, coincidence? Because I know the original Dolittle movie was a musical, right?
It was the 1967 one, yeah. So I guess that's just coincidence. Nothing that I read suggested that they were originally trying to do any sort of musical with this one.
Yeah, you've done all the research. I've just watched the movie 70 times. That is what I'm bringing.
That's
I'm bringing
research as well.
nothing.
That's research as well, for sure. Yours is in the trenches. Yours is hands-on practical research. I've just been scrolling internet articles and doing my best to try to piece together what on earth is going on.
That's called research.
Yeah, well,
I think the biggest thing to note is that they're really harping on, like, every movie mentioned, they're trying to, like, say the biggest movies they're in. It is weird that Antonio Banderas is just Antonio Banderas, because you already know.
right, yeah, his name lives above.
But it's clear that they're just trying to say, like, look at this huge Oscar-winning cast that we got. And, like,
Please come see this movie. Yeah.
a lot of the people in the movie who've won Oscars are hardly in the movie. Jim Broadbent is in the movie for like 15 minutes at most. Like
Less than that, probably.
yeah, 10 minutes. He's the main villain, but he's not really the focus at all.
No.
I guess he's not the main villain. That would be Michael Sheen. But
Well, he's the Lord Sidious to Michael Sheen.
yeah,
Michael Sheen's Darth Vader.
I don't know what that is. Everything about this is just always gets me. Like, hearing you read that cast list earlier and how, like, acclaimed it is, and then watching the movie and knowing that they're only in it for like 2 minutes tops, 5 minutes tops, like, that's wild. And then, like, hearing this, how they, like, try to make it sillier instead of, like, I don't know, trying to involve more of the cast.
I imagine at that point, though, a lot of these people that they have signed on, they're done with principal photography and everything. So if they're doing reshoots, they have to have time in their schedules to be able to go in and film new things and put new lines in place. So
I still don't think that I think Robert Downey Jr. was on the set all along.
And I mean, I don't know, like, they also suggested that part of the reason that they moved the release date to when they did was that would be more favorable for the release in the Chinese market in February. I can't imagine the people of China being excited about a dragon colonoscopy. Like, I don't know.
Nobody told me there'd be a dragon.
I think one thing I would be interested in hearing about is we talked a lot about visuals, but like the audio, specifically the voice acting, is so awful to the point where it's like hearing like Tom Holland speak, it sounds like someone doing the Tom Holland impersonation. It really doesn't sound like him. Same with Selena Gomez and Marion Cotillard. They just don't really sound like themselves. And like, if you to contrast that, Antonio Banderas sounds really good. And I wonder if like the recording was just bad, or like there wasn't any direction in the recording studio.
I was wondering about that, and I was thinking about, as I was watching it, listening to Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, he does a lot. A lot of his audio sounds like it's just not coming from anywhere specific. It's like over the top, like stacked on top of everything that's already there. So it's not like it's layered into like the left side of the screen or something like that. It's all very much on top of it. I wonder if with his at least, it was to make him more understandable.
Well,
if they were worried that
he is heavily ADR'd.
Right.
Heavily.
Right.
And like Stubbins isn't really.
It doesn't come across that way.
So it could be like his accent was so bad that they're like, hey, you need to reread all your lines so we can put them in later.
Yeah, but I mean, they still could have, mixed it in. Like they didn't. The fact that it's all just, it feels like it's right over the top. Maybe I'm making all of this up, but that's sort of the way it felt to me on this watch.
No, I think you're right. I think the sound mixing is like abhorrent. Like I think the audio is like probably a bigger issue than like the visuals, because for the most part the CG looks pretty good.
Yeah,
we could like pick out points, but
digital zooms aside and some of the clipping and human interactions aside, they do stitch these critters into the scenes pretty well.
Yeah, the only person who sounds good is John Cena. As far as voice acting goes, and maybe Octavia Spencer.
Dab's pretty good.
Yeah, but everyone else sounds like they just couldn't be bothered to get into the studio. Oh, Emma Thompson's pretty good too.
It could be that they're just better at voice acting.
I mean, Kumail Nanjiani is pretty awful in this, and he's done a lot of voice acting. I don't know.
Is he awful because of his voice acting, or is he awful because of what his character is, which is just quips?
I think both, because his voice acting is quite bad. Like, oh my god.
That's one of the most disappointing things for me. My favorite line in the movie is nobody told me there'd be a dragon. And it only appears in the trailer. It doesn't even make the movie. It's really too bad.
Do you have anything else to say about today, about watching the Dolittle?
My main takeaway of the day is that after I was so excited on the last viewing, I'm complete opposite this time. It's so boring and not good. I'm ready to fluctuate 50 more times on that.
Honestly, this time didn't really... I mean, I guess I did sleep for like 5 minutes. But that's like the point. That's just... I don't know. I always... Because like once you get the punchline of like, down there, hit him in the lower regions. And then there's like the weird CG nuts getting hit, which I have it on good authority that they really like... had hyper realistic balls in that scene prior that they cut out. But after that, I just like pass out because I know that nothing interesting happens until they land onto the island. So it's hard for me to like stay awake. I think I'm ready for watch number 3. I'm not excited, but I'm prepared for it this time. And hopefully I will sleep more than 3 hours before recording like every week. I really am trying to get the worst viewing experience out of this that I can. Before we wrap it up and do our ratings, what else have you been watching, listening to
keep me sane?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. The last week I've been going through. Here's some paperwork for you. Find us on wherever you can listen to podcasts, and find us on YouTube. And I was throwing all of those places together over the last week, and so I was thinking about Dolittle constantly. So that might be part of why this time I was like, oh god. But you can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher and everywhere that podcasts are out there. If you can't find this somewhere and you'd like us to be there, go ahead and shoot an email to drviewlittle@gmail.com. That's dr.viewlittle@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your experience with this movie if you have one that you'd like to share.
Well, for me, I have been doing other things, like working mostly. I don't dream of Dolittle like I used to. Let's see. I recently watched Puss in Boots, the new one.
Wow, a Universal movie. How was that?
I thought it was weird that Robert Downey Jr. was in it with a whole host of talking animals. But otherwise, I liked it a lot.
Was Robert Downey Jr. in that movie?
No. Antonio Banderas says that's a connection.
That is a connection. I was going to say, I thought, for a second, I believed you. I thought he actually was in there.
There's a scene where he's like, she'd want you to continue. So keep going. So keep going. That's in Puss in Boots.
Oh, wow.
As far as like Dolittle things I've been doing is I actively quote Dolittle in my day-to-day life on accident. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been up to. Would you recommend this movie? Did you enjoy it?
I did not enjoy it. Did not enjoy it. Would not recommend it. I was feeling really good after my first viewing of the year. I'm feeling much worse after this viewing. It was much less fun. It was more boring. And I don't know, 50 more times.
50 more times. That's not even that many times, honestly.
Well, for someone who's seen it 70 times, you know,
it's almost half.
starts becoming less and less for you, but for me,
I'm excited to break a century in 30 weeks. Last time it was towards the middle viewings where I wouldn't know like how the binary system just doesn't really work because it wasn't really a yes or a no. It was like I lived through it, you know. But I guess this time I'd be leaning towards no, I didn't enjoy it. And I do recommend it this time.
Wow.
I think if you have a movie player, a Blu-ray player, you should go buy yourself a copy.
No, don't do it. This is not an endorsement.
And I received 5% of all sales. I've been contacted by Universal.
Finn's getting kickback. That's why he's watched it 70 times. That's why he's participating in a podcast, because Universal is trying to drum up support for Dolittle so that they can release a sequel. They want to make another one.
I would like another sequel. I would like a first sequel, but I don't know what it would be like. Maybe they need to revisit the dragon. It's just more animals. That's the movie. He gets completely unhinged this time, and it's just all fart jokes.
The thing is that if they were hoping to build a franchise off of
like
this,
there isn't really a sequel to these. The only thing that you could really do is like Stubbins is now the Doctor, but there's not really anything to go off of as far as like sequels. So I think they knew that this was just a one and done sort of deal. Do you have anything else to say to wrap us up?
No, that's it for me. I'm Frank. I'm out of here.
All right. And you may call me Lady Rose.
This has been Viewlittle. See ya.